everyone. Welcome to week 3 of season 2. Season 2, episode 3. And we're talking about some of the most important stuff that I can bring to you this week, which is abundance. The idea of abundance. And that's a word that's kind of been thrown around a lot in like guru type practices, spiritual practices. And it's a great term. It's a great principle. It's a great idea. It is a principle that's older than both you and I and a lot of people. Because when we're talking about abundance, we're talking about what the universe is. Right? The universe is abundant. It is people who take and take and take. But the earth, let's say, gives and gives and gives, right? That's the number one thing to know about abundance is that it has to do with giving. Giving, giving, giving. Having more than you need, having a large quantity of whatever the thing is. So if we're thinking in material realm, right? If we're thinking in the sort of flesh realm, because again, remember, back from season 1, we've got 2 bodies. We have a flesh body, which we're looking at. We have a spiritual body, right, that lives inside of us. And that is a very well-known fact in faith and in quantum physics, right? So I'm not bringing you anything revolutionary here. If it's the first time you're hearing it, awesome. But it is no less true whether you believe it or not. It is an absolute fact, proven by many different sources. So if we're talking in the material flesh realm, it's that idea of having enough, having more than enough of, physical resources, whatever that may be. So money, time, well, I guess it's not exactly a physical resource, but we'll go with it. Energy, food, housing, like those kind of things that we need to survive. That is all physical resources in which we can be abundant. Spiritual resources that we want to be abundant in is, fullness and joy and happiness and contentedness and significance and all these things that lead us to have happier and more productive, fruitful lives. Right, so this idea of abundance, the number one thing to know about abundance is, like everything I talk to you about, abundance goes on the path of life, and lack, scarcity, not enough, goes on the path of death. Metaphorically, but also physically in this case. Like if you don't have enough to eat, you're gonna die. If you don't have enough love, you're going to be, sort of spiritually, emotionally malnourished. So there's that polarity, there's that duality of abundance to lack. Because for every like thing in nature, there is an equal and opposite thing, right? I think it's like Newton law number 2 or something. So in order to get abundance, we need to come out of a lack mentality, which is hard because we kind of live in a lack mentality a lot of times. We're raised a lot of times by people who are like, oh, well, there's not enough, or money doesn't grow on trees, or, I don't have enough time, or I'm not in the mood for this right now, right? All these sort of negative, lacking ideologies. And we say it and we hear it literally all the time. And we don't realize what we're doing. We do not realize we are sowing in lack to our lives. And then we reap back lack. Again, not a new principle. The principle of sowing and reaping. And what that means is to sow something is you plant a seed in the ground, let's say, and then you reap the harvest, what it brings, the bounty it brings. Sowing and reaping, not a new concept. So it applies in our lives as well. We're all little farmers. We're all cultivators, right? We're all either sowing life or sowing death. A lot of people don't realize that. Not nobody. People do realize it, but a lot of people don't realize that. They don't realize that they're either an instrument of life or of death. And I know physically everybody's dying. Physically, we're all dying in this body, right? We're all doing that. But while we're here, because technically, like, if you think back to trees, technically in the springtime, when a tree blooms, it's also on its way to dying. But the journey of the tree gives a lot of important, things along the way. Shade, oxygen, resources, etc., etc. Our lives are the same way. Yes, we're all working toward our physical death, but also in that 100-year journey, let's say, we have a lot of life that we can be giving. Or we could also be sowing death or complacency or lack or scarcity or just negativity, So in order to have abundance, we need to think abundantly. We have to look past sometimes the, not obvious, but like the evident, right? So if you are worried because you don't have enough time, right? That is a construct in your brain. Everybody has the same amount of time. We all have 24 hours in a day. We just do, right? So when you say, oh, well, I don't have enough time, that's a lie that you're telling yourself, because whatever the thing is that you're supposed to be doing, but you're not prioritizing. It takes discipline to be abundant, right? Like, think about a farmer going out in his field and sowing seeds. It takes discipline to go out there and work the field and dig the holes and then plant the seeds and then water the seeds and then take care of the seeds. All of that happens before one thing comes up, right? You have to do the work first. So when you say, oh, I'd love to do that, but I don't have enough time, you're not doing the work. You're doing the lazy person route, which is excuses. And that comes from a lack mentality, right? I don't have enough. It's scarcity. At least be honest with yourself and say, I do have enough time. I just don't care enough. Because that's honest. That's true. And that's fine. Be honest with yourself. Because when you say, I have enough time, I'm just not prioritizing this right now, what that tells the universe, the frequencies that we kind of emit thoughts on, and we do emit thoughts. Again, quantum physics is a fascinating study. Check it out, because it's starting to really line up with spirituality, which is this idea that thoughts become things, right? Energy flows where attention goes. Like, that's now being proven by quantum physics, as well as people who've been saying it for years. So when we are looking at, I have enough time, but I'm not prioritizing this, that is signaling to, the universe, the frequencies, the energies, whatever's attracting things to you, the law of sowing and reaping, that yes, I do have enough time. I'm abundant, but right now my priority's not this thing, even though I actually do want to focus on it eventually. Right. But instead we take lazy route, we take lack route, we take scarcity route, and we're like, oh, well, I don't have enough time. No, but you do, though. You do. We all do, right? You might not feel like you do, but that's not true, right? So, and I'm just telling you this out of love, because when any of us says we don't have, we're living in a lack place. When we live in lack, we get a lot of lack back, right? Because the principle of sowing and reaping is that you reap more than you sow. Additionally, you reap later than when you sow. You have to sow first. So you're telling me, okay, Michelina, great. The universe is abundant. I have abundance, right? You're like, great. Well, how do I activate that? Like, how do I get into that zone? Because, like, I want a lot of things. Well, when you say, I want all these things, you're presupposing that you don't have them, right? So that goes back to lack. When you're like, oh, I want this, I want. What it means is, well, I don't have because I'm lacking. Do you see how fun this is? So what you have to kind of start saying is, I know this is coming to me and I'm ready for it. Feel how nice that sounds? I don't have, or I want, It still sounds not fun, like sounds like it's lacking. But when you say, I know this is coming to me and I'm ready for it when it gets here. It just feels different because it is different because you're coming from a place of abundance. You know it's out there. It's just not coming to you yet, but it's on its way. And then that activates the frequencies of, okay, well, bring it to her. You'll see this happen. Things will start to align. You'll get these sort of synchronicities or these coinciding things that happen when you're functioning in alignment. I'm not trying to be terribly spiritual here with you. I'm honestly not. I'm trying to be very practical, honestly, because when we apply this principle of sowing and reaping, we get more than we give, but it starts with giving. So if you want more money, give it away. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but what ends up happening when we give away our money, we give away our time, we give away our energy in balance, right? We're not giving to our detriment. We're not giving away our whole paycheck and not paying our bills. Like, that's not abundance. That's stupidity. Don't do that, right? What we need to remember is we have to just be balanced and restructure, right? So we get our paycheck. Instead of paying our bills first, ourselves second, and then like not giving any of it away, we flip those priorities. So we give first to some organization perhaps we believe in, or I don't know, I always give to the pets, right? I'm always giving to pet agencies. It's like number one thing. I don't care if I don't have it, because there's times like I'm like, I don't have this $5, but I'm going to give it away anyway. You know what has happened as a result? I have never not been able to feed my pets. Even when I'm financially struggling, the pets are always taken care of. Now, on one hand, I prioritize the pets. They'll eat before I do. But on the other hand, more seriously than that, I really believe it's because I'm never stingy where it comes to animal concern. I'm just not, because I love animals. I love pets, So when we give away what we might not necessarily, we have it, but we wouldn't normally allocate it to that cause or that thing, then the universe recognizes that. It's like, okay, let's give it back. She gave away, let's give it back. So let's say, I don't have time for this thing. I don't have energy for this thing. When we give our time, I don't know, let's say we want to lose weight, right? Very practical. And we're like, oh, well, I don't like the way I look, but I don't have time to work out. You're functioning out of a lack mentality. You're going to stay right where you are. And you got to just make peace with it, because you're going to look the way you look or worse, right? Instead, I do have enough time to work out. I'm just not prioritizing it. That's a step in the right direction. That's where I am right now. I don't particularly love the way I look right now or feel. I know I have enough time to take care of it. I'm just not taking care of it. And that's on me. And so no wonder when I have roles in places I don't really want to have roles, right? Eventually, I will get to the place where I'm like, I'm going to prioritize working out. And when I do, it's very easy to know what will happen. When you discipline yourself and start working out, nothing's going to change at first. But then, over time, as you keep showing up, you're going to start to get more, muscle and solid up, and maybe lose weight if that's what you're trying to do. It's very practical. So the abundance is out there, right? And the things that we want are out there. Because if other people have them, we can have them too. When I play the piano, right? I'm just learning how to play the piano. I'm 6 months in. And when I'm starting to struggle on a piece, and I want to say like, I can't do this, lack mentality, what I do instead is I'm like, I know it can be done because somebody did it. And if somebody can do it, so can I. And that comes out of abundance. If they can do it, I can do it too. Because it's already been done. And, somebody can move their fingers in this way. I'm not there yet, but I'll get there. I'll be there. And when we start to reframe in that way, which takes work, abundance is an easy concept when we get there, right? Once we have sown all of our seeds as a farmer, we sow all of our seeds and we had our first harvest, and they're perennials. I think it's perennials. So they come back every year, and they come back more, and they come back more abundantly because you just kind of monitor the soil. Once you lay that foundation down, it gets very easy. The momentum is there. We'll talk about momentum on another week, but we have to lay that foundation first, right? And once we discipline ourselves, let's say we want more money. We discipline ourselves in our finances to the place where we're like, okay, I'm going to set aside this first, whatever percentage it is, 10%, 15% of my paycheck, and I'm going to put it to a cause I believe in because I want more abundance in that area, let's say, right? Well, then what'll happen, you restructure your finances, might be a little bit of, okay, well, I can't spend this money on myself now, but I'm spending it on myself in a different way, right? We keep showing up. Nothing's happening, but we're showing up. We keep tithing. We keep giving our 10%. What's going to eventually happen? The universe is going to see that, and it's going to take it back and say, okay, this is what they're giving. We need to give them back more because they need it. Again, abundance. We cannot sow in abundance when we're functioning in a place of lack. So the first thing is that we have to cultivate the field of our minds, right? So our minds, kind of like a wild forest with negative thoughts, most of us, a lot of us, lack thoughts. And so we need to kind of cut down those negative brambles, clear them out before we can even plant a seed of abundance. So the first thing that we have to really do to get to that abundance, which is there for you, is get ourselves right. Right? This is all about self-awareness. It's all about fixing ourselves. So what we have to do is, and again, if you don't want to do this, then don't. It's your life. I know it works because I'm living it. You do you. I don't know. If you're not interested, then don't listen. Click away. But what I'm telling you really does work. And I know that it works because I've lived it. And I'm friends with people who have lived it. And there's studies done on people who have lived it. And there's books and there's resources and there's materials and there's movies and there's documentaries. It's there. Guys, it's there. You can literally type in like abundance and just see in Google, it'll come up. So I'm not making this up. I'm not bringing you anything novel here. It's actually really, really old. A lot of the things that I talk about are things that are as old as time. Like really. So I'm not bringing anything new. But again, you do you. For me, in my house, abundance is the key. So the first way to do that is to clear out the old negative brambles. To clear out the brambles, what we have to do is catch our words, right? Because thoughts become things. But what we do a lot of times is what we're thinking, out of the heart, the mouth speaks. If you've ever heard that, whatever you're thinking, you're going to say. That's just how it goes, right? And so if you say things like, I don't have enough time, or I can't believe you did that, those are lack. Catch them. Catch them. Catch that thought. That's the first step. And then once you start seeing like, oh, wow, I'm really talking like that all the time, huh? If you can't catch it, have somebody else that you talk to a lot try to help you. Because it's not always the easiest thing to catch our thoughts in the act. It's really not. So pay attention to what you say. That's the first step to clearing the brambles. And only after we start catching what we say can we start consciously kind of thinking differently before we speak it out. Then once we're sort of changing our conscious thoughts a lot, then it starts to work into the subconscious. Then we start getting this really nice thing where you're starting to be in alignment. What you think is what you say. What you think is positive. And then guess what happens? abundance opens up. But you can't get to the abundant place still talking about the negative things. You can't do it. So, abundance is really, really fascinating. The law of sowing and reaping, very fascinating. And I really, really strongly suggest if you want more, you have to give more. And it's not always easy, you know, but it is worth it. Really is. And so giving value, giving time, giving energy, giving focus, like those are all currencies the universe deals in. Spiritually, those are the kind of things you want to give. Physically, give your money, give your food, give your physical resources, because those are things that you'll reap physically. This works in both realms, people. So I hope that's interesting to you. I'm going to be talking about abundance all week. I'm really excited about it. And if you find that you struggle with those negative sayings and those negative thoughts, you're not alone at all. And that is definitely something that, you know, probably is the root of what you need to be working on. And, you know, there's lots of materials and resources out there for you. If you want more, then just contact me. I have them. And also, I have a webinar coming up on Thursday, the 21st, that's going to help you kind of dig into that a little bit. And you're welcome to sign up. The link is at my Instagram. So check that out, and I will see you next week. I hope this was interesting, and I hope you're living abundantly. Bye, guys.